I'm dreading filming this video because once I film it, I have to edit it, and that is gonna take so long. Hey everyone, it's Rose and welcome back to my channel. Started the year off with an insane reading wrap up. Today I'm going to talk about the 34 books I read in January. How did I do this, you ask? Well, I fell down a rabbit hole of Kindle Unlimited authors who write thrillers that also have their audiobooks on Kindle Unlimited. So I was basically listening to like an audiobook and a half a day for a good couple weeks. Talking about them is going to be interesting because some of them did kind of blur together. I read like 3 different authors' entire backlists and some of their books were quite similar. So we're going to do our best today. Please bear with me, and I'm going to spoiler free talk my thoughts about all these books. I read 10,730 pages, 34 books and 1 5-star. I started off the month and also the year by reading Twin Crowns by Catherine Doyle and Catherine Weber. I rated this book 3 stars, but the more I think about it, the more I would lower that rating, and I just didn't want my first read to be a low rating, so I think I was too easy on it. This is a book about a girl who is heir to the throne of a kingdom, and she fears and hates the witches because she's grown up thinking and being taught that they were evil. Then we have her twin sister, who she doesn't know even exists, who was stolen as a baby and taken to safety in the witches' place, and like they brought her up, and her plan is to steal back the throne so the witches are protected. An interesting premise. Unfortunately, it was not for me. I tried to continue this series afterwards and ended up DNFing it. I don't actually even have the physical copies anymore because I just sell them straight away on Vinted. Yeah, not for me. Very young adult, quite easy to understand, so maybe it would be for you if you like that. Then I read Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. I rated this book 4 stars. It was so good. This is a thriller about a woman. The perspective you're from, she's in a coma and she can like hear things that are going on around her, but no one, like, she's still asleep, no one can see her reacting to it, but in her head and in her monologue that you're reading, she is reacting to it. And you got to figure out, and she's got to figure out why she's in this coma, who did this to her, or was it an accident, or is there more at play? Oh my god, so good. I love Alice Feeney. Please read her books, honestly. I really recommend this one. I recommend anything by her, but this one was so twisty and so turny and so good. Then I read another Alice Feeney book. This one was called I Know Who You Are, and I rated this one 3.5 stars. This is about a woman whose husband goes missing and she's a suspect. But then we're also going back to her past where some absolutely insane, crazy things happened to her. I didn't love this one as much, which is why it wasn't as highly rated. But one thing you need to know about me is I am most critical with my ratings when it comes to thrillers because it's my most read genre, my most loved genre. I've read hundreds, so it has to do something crazy to get higher than 3 stars. So 3 stars is a good rating anyway, but 3 stars or above for a thriller means you know I enjoyed it and thought it was really good. So would still recommend this even though it is not quite as good as Sometimes I Lie. Then we have a book that was so close to 5 stars. We have So Thirsty by Rachel Harrison. If you're not new here, you've probably seen me talk about Rachel Harrison before. Oh my goodness, I adore what this woman does with the unique way she writes horror. The horror is written so realistically, even when it uses supernatural elements, that you are almost convinced that it could happen in real life. It deals with the topics of vampires, but more importantly, it deals with the topics of female friendship, how far you would go to save those that you love, and so much insane stuff happens. While this is horror, I wouldn't say it is outwardly scary. I would say it is a slow burn, it is creepy, and it is so well written. This was 4.5 stars. The only reason it wasn't a 5-star is because I've read other books by her that I rated 5 stars that I like just that little bit more. And I read Everything's Eventual by Stephen King. I rated this 3.5 stars. Not his best work. This is a bunch of short stories. I really enjoy his short story collections, but like the more stories that are in it, the more chances that rating's going to be a bit lower, because how is it going to be 5 stars? Realistically, am I going to absolutely love 14 stories in a row? Maybe not. Then we have my 5-star read for the month, and that is Glint by Raven Kennedy. This is the second book in the Plated Prisoners series. This is a fantasy series, a very dark fantasy series. It's a King Midas retelling. I absolutely loved this book. It was set up so well in book 1, and this was just perfection. I loved it so much. I loved how it's ended and how it has set up for the rest of the series. I obviously can't really tell you anything about this because it's the second book in a series, but I will say from the first 2 that I've read, check the content warnings and read them. Like, oh my gosh, so good. 5 stars. I can't wait to continue. This is when I started down the rabbit hole of Kindle Unlimited, so I'm gonna get my phone up for this one because I'm a bit worried about them blurring together, because while I remember all the books, I don't always remember which ones are which titles because I don't have the physical copies, so I can't like look at the cover and know what it's about. So I'm gonna get up my Goodreads so I can actually see the books I'm talking about. So this is the month I discovered Lucinda Berry, who's quickly become one of my favourite authors. The first book I read from her is If You Tell a Lie. This is past and present. We get quite a few points of view. The past is about a group of girls in this like summer camp, and something really dark and twisted happened. And then in the present, they have to reunite because someone is threatening to like reveal what happened. So messed up, but it got me hooked in the like I told you, I read 34 books this month, and I think it's all down to this book because it's what got me hooked onto reading all these thrillers. It was so good. It was a read in one sitting, like most of the books I read this month were, and it led me to carry on and read basically all of Lucinda Berry's backlist. So we're going to talk about a lot of her books in this video. Speaking of which, we have When She Returned by Lucinda Berry. I rated this 3.5 stars. This is about a woman who randomly goes missing. She's thought to have been like abducted by a cult, and years later her husband has moved on, has a new wife, and suddenly the first wife returns. And she has a lot of creepy things to say. Again, this book was so messed up, but it was so good. I did guess a couple of the plot twists, which is why it was 3.5 and not 4. I reread a book that honestly really disappointed me. Last month, I reread the Cruel Prince trilogy in anticipation of rereading The Stolen Heir so I could finally read The Prisoner's Throne. I didn't love the Cruel Prince series so much the second time round, but I had hopes I was gonna like The Stolen Heir just as much. The first time I read this book, I rated it 4 stars. This time around, I got a 2.5, and honestly, the more I think about it, the more it's more like a 2. I was just so bored. Back to Lucinda Berry with The Best of Friends, which I rated 3.5 stars. This is about 3 mums who have 3 teenage boys. They are all involved in an accident. One is dead, one is in a coma, and one is alive but is traumatized and won't talk about the event. And it's just so toxic, so messed up, so that's all I have to say. We have The Secrets of Us by Lucinda Berry, which was 4 stars. Oh my goodness. This is about 2 sisters that grew up in foster care together. One of them gets committed to a psych ward for trying to kill her husband, and she keeps saying he's not who he says he is. There's all of this like, what the hell is going on? She thinks he's an imposter, and it's the other sister trying to figure out what the hell is going on. It also goes back to their past together and the stuff that happened that shaped them into the people they were. This was so good. So good. So twisty, so turning. I love Lucinda Berry twists. Then we have Off the Deep End, which I rated 4 stars. Again, of course, by Lucinda Berry. I can't stop thinking about this book. It is so messed up. So in the prologue, a mum is driving her son and his friend home, and they get into an accident, and the car goes into some water and she pulls who she thinks is her son out, but it's not her son, it is his friend. And then you're following them a while on when she has become obsessed with the boy, and she's in a, like, I think group home because she's struggling mentally, obviously. The mother of the son's friend that this woman's now obsessed with has a restraining order against her. There are some uncomfortable topics in this book. So creepy, but it is so mind, like, twisting. Oh my god, like, I did read a few books in between the rest of Lucinda Berry, but what we're going to do is go through all the Lucinda Berry ones and then move on to the next author, because otherwise this is going to get so confusing, not only for you but also for me to edit and also for me to keep up with. We've got One of Our Own by Lucinda Berry, which I rated 4 stars. This is an audio only. This whole book is a trigger warning. The main woman that we are following works at a suicide hotline, and she answers a call from a teenage girl, and turns out the teenage girl goes to the same high school as her son, and she gets really attached to what is going on in this girl's life. She wants to help her and save her, and she also has in the back of her mind, how is there a chance my son could be involved? Oh, the whole book's a trigger warning. It was so dark, it made me cry, but it was so good. Next up, we have Phantom Limb by Lucinda Berry, of course. This is like how I knew her before I found her this month. I knew this cover and I knew this was Lucinda Berry. I rated this book 4 stars. Most of it takes place in a psych ward. It's about 2 sisters, again, foster siblings? No. They are like biological siblings, but they spent most of their life in foster care, and when one of them dies, the other one has a breakdown. But there's so much more to it. Like I said, the book's set in a psych ward. Everything that you can think of to do with the triggering content, it happens, it's talked about, it's discussed, whether it's with the actual characters or like the girl we're following makes friends with other people in there with different issues that are talked about. It's one big trigger warning, but it was so messed up. Oh my gosh. However, then I read Missing Parts by Lucinda Berry, which I rated 2 stars. I will say this is her oldest book, and I hate to say it, but it shows. This didn't read like a thriller. This read like fiction, and then in part 2 it tried to be a thriller. It's about a couple whose daughter gets really sick and needs a kidney transplant, but her father is not a match. I absolutely hate the victim blaming in this book, even from people who had gone through the exact same thing. They then basically said, oh no, I don't believe you, I think you're a liar, even though they dealt with that themselves. I also hated every single character. I hated the main woman, I hated the main man, I hated the side characters. Everything about it was not good, and I was really disappointed. Then we have Saving Noah. The most messed up book ever. I rated this 4.5 stars because it was so... the plot twist was so... like, world altering. I could not in good conscience rate this 5 stars because I'm going to tell you what this book is about. It's about, from the perspective of a woman whose son is a paedophile. And she just keeps talking about how much she still loves him and she forgives him, and she thinks he made a mistake but it's been dealt with now, so he should be able to move on with his life. And she doesn't get why the victims' families are so harsh to him, and she doesn't get why he's got to be on a list, because surely if rehabilitation works then he should be able to move on and get away with everything. And like, you're never gonna get me to agree with anything she says, so it was so weird being in her head. We also get a point of view of the boy, he's 17, the paedophile, who like goes to treatment, and you get the point of view of what happens in treatment, which is so messed up. There are so many messed up things in this book. This is her darkest book, I would say. And I literally told you about the suicide hotline one. Like, this is beyond messed up. The plot twist at the end had me, I could not breathe. The last book before we move on to another author, guys, I am sorry. Oh my god, this video is gonna be so long. One Little Mistake by Lucinda Berry. This is a short story that I rated 4 stars. It's Audible only, I think, like audio only. It's about a woman who gets arrested for a DUI, and then she calls her husband to pick her up, and he's like, are you insane? Our kids were in the car with you. Like, I am taking the kids. I am leaving you. Stay the hell away from me, and also find your own way home. And she's like, I know I would never do this. I'm not an alcoholic. Like, I would never put my kids in danger. Something is going on. And then she figures out what's going on. Then I found another thriller author on Kindle Unlimited, and that author is Teresa Driscoll. So the next few books we're going to talk about are all thrillers by her. First up, I have Tell Me Lies, which I rated 3.5 stars. So this is about a couple. The guy cheated on her, but they have a young daughter, and she wants to try and repair things. So they go out to this like rented house, cottage in the woods, as like a little getaway to reconnect, but they keep finding dead owls on their front porch. And then some crazy stuff happens. Her husband keeps dismissing all her claims and keeps like calling her paranoid and keeps saying nothing's going on, so she starts to suspect he's got something to do with it. But the story goes so much deeper than that. This was really good, and I then went on to read like almost all of Teresa Driscoll's backlist, so it had me hooked. We have The Promise, which I rated 3.5 stars. This book disappointed me with some of the things going on, but I did also like a lot of it. This is about 3 friends who have a secret they share. Something tragic happened in... They went to a boarding school, a really strict Catholic boarding school. You know, they were taught by nuns, and something crazy happened. And then they're in the future, and they've heard that the boarding school is going to be torn down. And so they desperately, 2 of the girls desperately want to find the 3rd girl who is completely estranged. She's completely estranged. They hire a private investigator to track their friend down, to talk about what the hell they're going to do about what's going to be found when they tear the school down. What I really like is it introduced us to a private investigator who is in like every single book, and you slowly get like more snippets of his life throughout. It doesn't spoil other books, but I really like that he's a recurring character, because although they are standalone thrillers, everyone hires this same guy, and it is really fun. I was disappointed because you are made to think that what happened was so much like they're going to be in so much more trouble than they realistically would. I don't know, it's a weird one. I can't really say any more without spoiling anything, but I just didn't love, I feel like I was let down by what it actually was. Then we've got I Am Watching You, another one I rated 3.5 stars, and again another one by Teresa Driscoll. This is about a woman on a train who sees 2 young girls flirting with 2 much older guys who have just got out of prison. She wants to intervene and like, I don't know, tell their parents or something like that, but then she starts to doubt herself and be like, I'm making more of a big deal out of this than I should be. I should just let them have their fun. Like, I'm sure they will be fine. Then she wakes up the next morning to see one of the girls is missing. And then we're following them on a year later. She's still not been found. We're following the father of the missing girl, the friend that was with her that night, and this woman that never reported anything. I think there might be a couple more point of views. I'm not too sure. That's all I can tell you. I don't want to spoil anything. It was good. Then we have The Friend, which I rated 3.5 stars. This is about a woman stuck on a train far from home with her friend watching her son. When she finds out her son, her friend and her friend's son have all been involved in an accident, and the friend is unconscious and she's the only one that can identify the two boys, and because the two boys look so alike, they don't know which one is which. And so she's stuck on the train where one of the boys is in a much worse condition than the other, and she doesn't know if it's her son or not. And then we're going to the events from when she met this friend to now, and why she thinks she should have never trusted her friend to look after her son, and why she thinks this friend had a lot to do with it. Okay, then we have I Will Make You Pay, which I rated 4 stars. This one's about I think she's a journalist, and every Wednesday she gets a call or a note or something weird, and she's being stalked, and every week she's dreading it getting to Wednesday, because every Wednesday this stalker ups the ante of what is going on and is starting to put her life in danger. It is crazy. The private investigator makes another appearance in this one, which was really fun. I loved all the plot twists. This deals with some dark stuff. Then we have Her Perfect Family by Teresa Driscoll. Why do I keep saying her name? These are all by Teresa Driscoll. This is another 4 stars. I really like this one. We are following from the point of view as a mother, as her daughter is about to take the stage for graduation and then on stage gets shot. They're trying to figure out who the shooter was. Her daughter is now in a coma and they find out she is pregnant. Who the hell is the father? Because she broke up with her boyfriend a while ago. There are so many rumors about who it could be, and it is absolutely insane. I know I keep saying it, but this one really shocked me. And then we have the last one by Teresa Driscoll, Close Your Eyes, which I rated 4 stars. Now, this is where the private investigator gets his own book, and this time he's not investigating someone else's case. His daughter goes missing. Oh, it's so tense. I've built such a connection with this guy over so many books that to then be in the feeling of heartbreak was so emotional. This book was so, I keep saying it, insane. The twists were so good, and I recommend. Then we go on to you guessed it, another Kindle Unlimited thriller author. This one is A.R. Torr, and I think this one's my favourite. The first one I read was Every Last Secret, which I rated 4 stars. This is about a rich couple, and then another couple moves in, and the wife starts working for the first couple, the guy in that couple, and the wife starts to think there is something going on with these two, but there is so much more to the story. You know that some crime was committed, and there was an attempt on someone's life, basically. You know that right from the beginning, because you're getting interviews right from the beginning, and then you're going back to the past when they first meet the couples. I love A.R. Torr's writing so much. This book is what spurred it on, and I'm so glad it is. Then we have The Good Lie. This one was so messed up. This is about a serial killer who killed 6 teenage boys, and then he's finally found when one escapes. And it's also about a woman whose job is to be a therapist to people who have urges to kill, maybe have killed in the past, or think they're going to, and you don't know how it connects, but it does connect in the most freaky way possible. Then we have A Familiar Stranger, which again I rated 4 stars. This is about a wife who writes obituaries for a living, and then the husband is in control of absolutely everything, and then she thinks he's having an affair, so she decides to have an affair of her own. Well, you don't know whether she's actually going to have one or not, but she meets this guy and she pretends to be someone that she's written an obituary for. Not impersonating that person, but she takes aspects of that person's life and reinvents a character for herself. There's obviously a lot more to it. Being in the husband's head, you get a few very short chapters, is terrifying, honestly. That man is evil. Then we've got A Fatal Affair, which I rated 3.5 stars. The reason this was lower is because this is a book about identical twins. And when you have that in a thriller, there are a lot of cliche plot twists you can use. And if you use them, it disappoints me. But this is about like rich and famous people and a woman who is with both of the guys, and then one of the guys is found dead with another woman, and it looks like a murder-suicide, and you're trying to figure out what the hell went on. It is so messed up. It is so dark, so twisted. That, like I said, there are a few cliche plot twists that, like, if you have identical twins in a book, you can pull it, but it lowered the rating for me. But it was still really, really good. Finally, we have The Last Party, which I rated 4 stars. This is... oh my gosh, being in this woman's head is absolutely insane. This is about a guy who was arrested years ago for killing, I think it was 3 children at a birthday party, and one of them was his own daughter. And then years later, you're following this woman who is absolutely crazy and believes he's innocent and wants to figure out a way to get him out of jail. But this woman is absolutely batshit. Like, it was so entertaining. It's so entertaining being in her head, honestly. I read 3 books by Minka Kent. What I will say about this author is she's gonna write an unrealistic plot twist. She's gonna write it so far-fetched and so crazy, but if you go into it knowing that, then you're not gonna be annoyed when it happens. First up, I read The Thinnest Air. I rated this 3 stars. There wasn't too much to it. It's about 2 sisters, and one of the sisters goes missing, and the other sister flies back to where her sister lives to try and look for her, and she thinks the husband has something to do with it. Then we have The Stillwater Girls, which I rated 4 stars. This is about 2 sisters who live in the cabin in the middle of nowhere. 2 months ago, their mum took their younger sister to go get medicine because she was sick, and they never returned. And oh my gosh, let me read you what I put in my review, okay? This book is arguably not good. The explanation for what the husband was up to was unbelievable, full of plot holes, and downright insane. If I base reviews on anything other than vibes, this would be more like a 2-star. However, I have never been more entertained. I could not put it down no matter how unrealistic it got, because I had to know how Minka Kent could possibly pull these plot twists off. So much fun if you can get past all of that. And I could get past all of it, so I rated it the 4 stars. Then we have Unmissing. This is about, very similar to another book I spoke about in this video actually, a guy whose wife goes missing 10 years ago. He moves on, has another wife, and then when that wife is home alone, another person claiming to be the ex-wife says, "I'm back, where's my husband? I finally escaped, I want to find him." And she's like, I'm sick and tired of you fakers trying to get my attention. What do you want? Money? You're not getting it. Leave. But is she the real one this time? And if so, where the hell has she been, and why did she not go to the police? Keep It in the Family by John Mars. 4 stars. This is an author I'm going to read the backlist of in February. Trust me. There's a couple, and the wife or girlfriend? I think they might be married. It's honestly not important. Does not get on with her mother-in-law. But anyway, they go to buy this house. And then they find a bunch of bodies in the attic, basically. And people are identifying, the police are identifying who the bodies are. The wife is convinced these things are all linked and blah, blah, blah. And the husband is like downplaying all of it. Meanwhile, they are arguing with the in-laws. I can't tell you anything else, but I really want to. This book was absolutely insane. I loved it so much. Just when you thought it had to be like there were enough plot twists, like there can't be any more, you realize there's like 150 pages left of the book, and you're like, what the hell could happen next? But it didn't feel too long at all. The plot twists were satisfying and good every single time. and I loved it. Then we have book number 34, which I have not finished but will do before the end of the month. So I don't have a reading for it, but I can tell you the basics. This is called Return to Midnight by Emma Dews. Now, our main girl is one of the survivors of a massacre where she's at either college or uni, and they're all in a house. They live together, they're all a group of friends, and one of their friends is in prison for killing a bunch of the other friends in that house. And she's about to write a book on the events that happened. Couldn't tell you anymore. So far I'm liking it. I think it's going to be a 3.5 stars. But that's all I have to say about that one because I haven't finished it. So I'm hoping to cut this video down because right now we're at over 40 minutes of footage. But those are the 34 books I read in January, an absolutely insane number to start the year off with. I'm really sorry if some of these felt repetitive, but I had such a good time, so I wanted to talk about them with you guys. Let me know what you read in January. Let me know if you read any of the ones I did, and let's talk about them in the comment section. That's all from me. If you'd like to see more from me, please be sure to like and subscribe as I post new videos around every 4 days now. It's going really well with that schedule, so I think I'm going to stick to it. Click the notification bell down below if you want to be notified when I upload. And that is it. I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you in another video. Bye!